If there's one thing I've learnt from this, and I'm dead serious, it's that most guys know nothing about the menstrual cycle. As far as they're concerned, you get cramps, you get stroppy, and a bit of blood comes out. Beyond that, they're pretty fucking clueless. So, for the uninitiated, it starts here. And it's this tight feeling, this dull ache that keeps kicking in every hour or so, squeezing from inside. Then your lower back starts killing, like you've pulled a muscle, and you're made painfully aware of this thing that sits in you with a mind of its own. It's the sort of pain you get when you really need to shit. Only when you do, and trust me, you do, it's still there. Also, bear in mind this is all before you've even come on. This is but a prelude to the main show. And it doesn't matter how much you tell yourself the previous month you're going to get organised and keep track of it, you never do. I even downloaded this app, right, where I'm meant to input stuff, track my cycle or whatever. Yeah, I'll be fucked if that ever happened. Now, maybe I just missed the memo, but once you're on, you have to change your tampon every few hours. Every few hours. I remember Googling it and thinking, no way. No way is that right. Every few hours. Do you have any idea how inconvenient that is? And yet you're just expected to get on with your day, like everything's fine. Paying, of course, for every fresh bit of cotton. Oh God, and your boobs. Your boobs get bigger, but not like sexy bigger. Bigger like they're bruised bigger. Bigger like they're swollen bigger. Bigger like you're half expecting to look down and be met with two purple breasts bigger. And look, yeah, I know it's this whole cliche, but your emotions get pretty out of check. It messes with you, gets you unmotivated. I think it's like a drop in estrogen or something. I don't know, that might be wrong. But you get to a point where everything starts pissing you off. And I mean straight up pissing you off. And then some prick will come up to you and make a crack like, oh, watch out, she's on her period. And it's like, yeah, I am. Half my fucking womb's falling out. Eat shit. At first, I thought I'd gone bipolar or something. I even went to the doctor to see what was wrong with me. But no, turns out that's just a part of it. That's just the sort of shit I have to deal with now. And what's bad is I probably had all this explained to me 1,000,000 times, but I never took it in. It's like, you know when someone tells you about their dream? You can listen to all the information, take note of every detail, but ultimately, it doesn't apply to you. None of what's being said has any real impact on your life, and so whether you want it to or not, doesn't matter. Why would you care? It's not like it's ever going to be your problem.
Honestly, it's quite a simple business model. Fundamentally, we're buying property, doing it up, then selling or renting it for a higher price. That's it. Although, as I'm sure you can imagine, the devil is in the details. So most people doing this kind of thing will try and keep costs relatively low. They'll buy cheap, renovate cheap, sell high, when actually the renovation is where you're going to make most of your money. As long as you know where you're putting it, the more you invest in renovating, the more money you stand to make. kitchens, for example. Kitchens are more often than not what win people over. I'll go a step further. A kitchen island. A good kitchen island can be the making of a property. I don't know why, but we as a civilization have an absolute fetish for being able to access a workspace from 360 degrees. A kitchen island can make you forget a mediocre bathroom. Now, of course, the customer is also important. Ideally, you want someone who's in a rush to sell. Maybe they're leaving the country. Maybe they're looking to... Yeah, you want someone who's in a rush to sell. And that's why online ad space is so valuable, because people searching the web, they want to be met with that reassurance. They want to get the best selling price fast. And having that definitely helps get you noticed. As a business, you're making the customer, you're giving them that reassurance. I'm delaying, aren't I? Sorry. The work, it's definitely... It's good to look forward. That's what I keep telling myself. The business, it's given me focus, given me something to build on that's positive. Sorry.
See, at first, it was exciting. And I know that seems kind of stupid to say now, but it didn't faze me. I still don't have a good answer as to why, and maybe in retrospect I was just being naive, but none of it freaked me out. Not really. And look, I could lie and simplify things and tell you that I thought I was dreaming or I died or this was some kind of miracle. But the reality was much simpler than that. There was just this excitement to it all. This pure thrill. It was also new, so different. And every part of me just wanted to go out there and make the most of it. Do everything I could, free of consequence. And I did, I went in hard. And look, I'm not saying it's something I'm proud of, but that first week was, without a doubt, the freest I felt in my entire life. I mean, I could do anything I wanted. Whenever I wanted. In that 1 week alone, I jumped out of a cab without paying. I flashed a bunch of tourists in Trafalgar Square. I remember running into HMV and just grabbing a whole bunch of CDs. I haven't listened to a CD in years. Man, I was flirting with people for free drinks, free coke, free entry. Even called a bouncer a wanker just to see what he'd do. Because, well, why not? It's not like I was going to be held accountable for any of it.
Nothing was easy. Every tiny step became this huge undertaking, and in the first 2 days, I didn't even eat. I didn't even notice that I didn't even eat. I was just so scared, and that first week is a blur to me. It's just this endless cycle of vomiting and fainting and vomiting. And when I went to get help, I mean, they did their best. They were professionals, but you could just see it in their faces. Everything I was saying, they were just so... I mean, why would they believe me? Why would anyone believe me? I even started doubting myself. As I was lying there, I could feel every inch of my body, and outside there were cars and people talking, and food tasted like food ought to taste, and I just got this overwhelming sense that this was real. And suddenly everything that I'd known up until that point started to fade. Maybe they were right, maybe I'd had a breakdown, maybe I slipped into a coma, and this was me waking up. And suddenly that started to seem like the more logical answer. And I started to doubt that I'd ever even existed.
I'd never been arrested before. I mean, yeah, there was the odd party back in the day where the law turned up, but never arrested. And remember that I didn't even know her name at the time, let alone her address or her number, so you can imagine how fun that was. Left with an £80 penalty and a police caution, which was, all things considered. Eventually, I managed to open up her phone. It had one of those fingerprint touch ID things. You get them on iPhones and stuff. I opened up her Facebook. Helen Jane Foster. Profile picture of her and her boyfriend Richard sat in a field at some festival. Nights out with mates, a few holiday snaps. There was even this one, right, of her playing guitar. I remember thinking, does that mean I can play guitar now? It doesn't. So then I start scrolling down her profile, and well, that's what fucked me up. There was just all this stuff, all these posts, and not like anything weird, just like day-to-day things. Her doing the Race for Life, raising money for charity, or like some BuzzFeed recipe she'd shared, a status about politics, you name it. And I'm sat there reading what she had to say, and suddenly it's like, this isn't just a body, this is... So then I searched my own name. No mutual friends. One mutual interest. Donnie Darko. Don't know why I remember that. But that was it, That was what brought me back. Because whatever this was, whatever had happened, life seemed to just be getting on with itself.
After we first met, it was... I mean, what do you even say? At first I wanted to keep up the pretense, just till things got back to normal, so I started giving him all these details and instructions about my job and my family, and... well, 2 months later it became pretty clear I was kidding myself. I think he knew, honestly. He went with it all, but I think deep down you could tell he'd come to terms with it already. Maybe he was putting on a brave face for my sake, or I don't know, maybe he just didn't have any better ideas, but every time we met up, he just felt so calm, and I can't even start to describe what that felt like. There I was, this thing that I'd lost was there, sat in front of me, and as I stared into what felt like my own reflection, there was this look of acceptance staring back at me. This overwhelming and yet strangely calming sense that this was the new normal. I guess I never really thanked him. We don't speak much now, the odd email here or there, logistical stuff mainly, but he was right. We needed to move on, so I threw out half his wardrobe and got a new haircut, rearranged the living room, and that's not a criticism, that's just... I needed to put my stamp on anything I could, It was healthy. It was healthy.
I really believe it when I tell people now. I've got this story, this whole routine about where I grew up, what I did at college, which 16-year-old boys broke my heart. I've made myself believe it. When I first started seeing Rachel, my girlfriend, I kept thinking, there's no way. There's no way I can keep up this pretense my entire life. Surely the truth is going to emerge at some point. Well, I'm both impressed and depressed by how easy it became. I remember reading somewhere about this type of anaesthetic, propofol, which they sometimes use during operations. Instead of blocking the pain, it interrupts the part of the brain that stores memory. So, in the operating room, paralysed, pain still felt, it's just not remembered. And I remember that idea terrified me. It's a pretty bleak notion for sure. But I'm starting to think, maybe that's just where we're at as a people. Call me jaded, but that doesn't even shock me anymore. I've started to realise that's just the kind of shit we're willing to accept as a lesser evil. So I lie. Every day, I lie to her. I lie because I love her. I lie because she makes me happy. And I try and convince myself that what she doesn't know can't hurt her.
I only relapsed once. Mum had Scott on her birthday, so it was always this double celebration. And we'd go to this carvery. I don't know why. We'd always go to this really old-fashioned carvery just outside of town. It became something of a family tradition every June 9th. It was stupid of me to go, I know that now, but I just hadn't seen their faces in so long. As soon as they walked in, I was 12 years old again. It was my mum and my dad and my little baby brother, and it took every bit of me not to get up and hug them there and then. My dad was wearing the scruffy jumper he used to hang on the back of the kitchen door, and Mum had the dangly earrings on that I used to try on when my friends came over, and it was just comforting to observe them, you know. They sat a few tables away from me. But there was this gap. This stupid empty seat. And a part of me died. Right there in that moment. Because I was dead. In a sense. The person who should have been sat in that spare seat, they no longer existed. I didn't cry. I just got up and left. Right out the restaurant, through the car park, all the way home. And I don't think I realised it fully at the time, but that's a turning point for me. That was when I knew I could never go back.
Early on, I reapplied for my own job. Took some new snaps, put together a little portfolio. It's pretty decent, actually. I knew what kind of stuff they were after, so I just really tailored it to them. Got an interview. No huge surprise there. But it was weird, because for the first time I was seeing people I'd known previously. Only, obviously it was different now. But not just because they didn't know me anymore. I mean, I remember my interview the first time round. I remember how at ease they made me feel. But this time, walking into that room, talking to them about my ideas, it felt different. The guys there, they were normally so passionate, so interested in what I had to say, but this time, whenever I tried to get them engaged in an idea, it just felt like everything I was saying was so obvious and uninteresting to them. I didn't get the job. And I want to be clear that I don't know for sure why. Maybe I came off nervous. Maybe they were looking to go in a new direction. I have to respect that possibility. But there's always some reason. I remember in the past, when a friend would ask me to walk her to the station, and I would. Of course I would. You want to make sure she gets home safe. But I never really stopped to think about that. Honestly, and this is going to sound bad, I always felt like it had a sort of flirtatious undertone to it. The chance to spend some time alone. But then you live it and it's the late night messages from some dickhead you barely know, failing to see how transparent he's being. Or the tube journey where you know nobody needs to be pressed that close to you. Or sitting in a cafe, having this guy stare at you from 2 tables down and he's there with his kid or his grandkid. And sure enough, every time you glance back, he's still just sat there gulping at you. It's knowing how you're going to be treated that day based on how you dressed that morning. It's dreading the heat because the heat means shorts, and shorts means some horny prick will come up and make a comment or try and grab your hands and you want to turn around and just punch him in the face. But you can't. So you just keep on walking. Continue to head wherever it was you were heading. Then suddenly you're the bad guy. You're the bore. Come on, lighten up. It was only a joke. Don't be so boring. It's just sad it took something like this for me to see it.
It was Dad who always said I should go for it. Start my own business, become my own boss. I used to work with this real dick, Matthew. Great at what he did, no debate there. And I definitely learnt a lot from him, but I was just so brutish. I mean, I remember one time he made Amy, one of my former colleagues, he made her cry because she lost a sale. In his eyes, that was a skill. It was something that gave him the business edge. Well, I employ 2 people now. Both women, both hard workers, and it's good. Business is good. We just recently moved into a new office space 2 stops from here, and turnover's up 63% on last year. And for the first time, it feels like it's getting better. I took a course once where they said to me, shoulders are the windows to the soul. I know that sounds mad, but there's some truth to it, because, see, sales is all about reading people, and if you're good at what you do, you can tell whether a client's interested before they've even said a single word. And more often than not, it's the shoulders that are the giveaway. If you have someone's shoulders, you have their money. And I remember all these exercises we did about coming across engaging but welcoming, and lots of people thought it was BS, but I found it really useful. Had all these techniques, all these strategies, and now, I don't know, I don't have to walk the line anymore between being confident and bossy. And getting people's shoulders isn't the struggle that it used to be. Some people call that a silver lining. I'd call that fucking sad. I just keep asking myself, why didn't I do this sooner? Why didn't I do it sooner? The knowledge, the expertise, it's nothing new. I didn't need this to...